Hi, today I want to talk about a book that I think every software manager should read. The name of the book is called The Mythical Man-Month. It's written by Frederick P. Brooks, Jr. And Frederick P. Brooks is a computer science professor, and he worked on the IBM operating system in the 60s. This book was actually written in 75, and then this particular one is the anniversary edition that is the original book, but it also has additional chapters, and it's from 1995. So 20 years later, um, an anniversary edition came out, and the reason I think every software manager should read it is because I think the principles of the book still hold true today. Um, One of my favorite parts of the book is the chapter The Mythical Man-Month. And the reason it's called the Mythical Man-Month is generally there's this idea that if a project's behind or things are moving slow, you add more people to, or you add more manpower to the project to deliver it on time. And Frederick goes in to discuss why that's sort of a mythical idea and why it doesn't work in building software systems. Um, I'll just give you a little tidbit. One part he talks about whenever you have projects that require or tasks that require communication, it takes more time when you add new people on. So you know, if you're mowing a lawn and you need to cover more area, or you need to finish a plot of land in double the time, you can just give somebody else another lawnmower, and then multiple people can mow the lawn and increase the time that it'll be finished. Well, with tasks that require communication or some sort of backstory or understanding about the direction and how things are being done, it takes more time because the person isn't up to speed. They don't know the project. They don't know the reasons why certain decisions were made. So that's one part of why he talks about why adding more manpower to a project won't deliver it, generally won't deliver it in a faster time. But one part that I really like about it, I just want to read. Men and months are interchangeable commodities only when a task can be partitioned among many workers with no communication among them. And that's what I was talking about. One of my favorite quotes is, "The bearing of a child takes 9 months, no matter how many women are assigned. Many software tasks have this characteristic because of the sequential nature of debugging." And I like that quote because it's like if a woman's pregnant, there's nothing that you can do to increase the time from 9 months for her pregnancy duration. There's another quote that I heard somewhere. It's a story like a guy comes in and wants a boiled egg, and he wants it faster than the time it takes to boil the egg, and the chef says your options are to have to either wait or you can have a raw egg. So there's some things that just take a certain amount of time, and then when you add people into the equation, it increases the time just that much more. And I like this part about many software tasks have this characteristic because of the sequential nature. And that's a good point because a lot of times you'll have when you're creating software, you have a huge list of tasks, and some things can't be done before something else. So there's sort of a requirement, or there's a procedure to which the task need to be achieved. And if you're not looking at that sequential order, it's easy to say, well, it's easy to think that almost everything can be done in parallel. So not only do you have to consider communication between people, but you also have to consider the sequential nature of tasking that comes into play. Um, yeah, but it's just a really good book. There's a lot of other things in here. He talks about team structure. Um, he uses analogies of different things to kind of bring the point home about why building software is a difficult task and why the discipline of software engineering is not as I should say the scheduling and prediction of when projects will be complete is not as fine-tuned as some other engineering practices. Um, but yeah, it's again, it's one of those books that I think there's a couple of chapters in here that may be a little bit out of date, and I just say that because it goes into talking about technology, yeah, it goes into talking about technology that we're definitely not doing now, but the principles still apply. And then it's also kind of cool to just have a historic perspective on some of the challenges that were taking place, back in the 60s and 70s with creating software. So again, the Mythical Man-Month. I think that every software manager should read this book. I also think that software developers, software engineers should be reading this book as well. It's one of those things where if you have an understanding about how software should be ran from a managerial perspective, it can kind of help you in your own day-to-day job because it gives you a larger perspective of how the project is being run and the process is being run. So again, the Mythical Man Month. Go check it out.